For USCFsales.com, I'm Steve Lopez with another Fritz tip for you. Last couple times around, we've been looking at Let's Check features in the new Fritz13 software. We were looking at contributing an engine 2 videos ago, how you can take your own chess engine and use it to analyze positions that have been contributed by other people, positions they've submitted they'd like to have analyzed. And for every position that you analyze using your computer, when you volunteer its services, when you contribute your chess engine, for every position submitted by someone else that you analyze, you receive a credit. And you can spend those credits in 2 ways. One we looked at in the last video, which is you can submit your own individual positions to be analyzed on the Let's Check server. But you can also submit entire games, and that's what we're going to look at in this video. This video kind of puts me on the horns of a dilemma. I'll tell you why. My narration software that I would use to narrate a video, I can't talk and analyze and run the internet all at one time on this computer. There's just no way to do it. And I created a video of this feature in action, and I could narrate that video, but the problem is there's things I want to point out to you that show up so small in my narration software I really can't see them very well. I get a video that I can watch to narrate that's not much more than a glorified thumbnail. I'd rather do it using stills so I don't forget anything. So we're going to look at a series of still pictures to show you how to do this. But it doesn't take very long. It actually takes less than 5 minutes usually to analyze a game, to have other people analyze a submitted game on the Let's Check server. It really depends on how many people are volunteering their engine at any given time, how many other positions or games are in the queue at that moment, but I've never done it yet where it's taken longer than 5 minutes to get the analysis back on a complete game. So of course what we're looking at here is we have a picture from the Men's Olympiad 1998. This is Fritz13, of course. We have a game between Peter Svidler and Topalov, and we'd like to analyze this game. I chose this game really only because it's a short game between 2 strong players. I wanted a game less than 25 moves long between a couple of 2,700 plus rated players. So I just picked this one out of my list, the search that I did for games. So we have our position. Of course, first thing we have to do is get on the Let's Check server. Now, first of all, let's look at this. If you're going to contribute a game, and this is a mistake that I made very early on in playing with this feature, if you're going to contribute a game, your very first step is to load that game. Don't connect to the server and then click contribute game and then think you're going to get a pop-up that's going to let you go to a particular database and pick a particular game. It doesn't work that way. Your first step should always be to load the game that you want to have analyzed by other people's chess engines. The chess engine that you select, in this case I've got Fritz13 selected, it doesn't matter what engine you select because your engine is not going to be a part of this. So any engine will do, doesn't matter, it doesn't factor into it. But do have the game you want to analyze, make sure you have that loaded. Next thing you do then is you go up to, as we've seen before, the engine menu and click the Let's Check button, and when you do, of course, as you see here, I have the Live Book tab selected in the notation pane. When you connect, you're going to see a notation here showing that you have connected at that point. However, your next step, once you've connected to the Let's Check server, which we'll see here in a moment, once I've connected, we see how many people are online. It shows I'm connected to the server. It says welcome with my username. Speed index, which we've seen before, it just gives you a relative idea of how fast your engine is compared to other engines that you may have. For example, if I use a dual core engine, a dual processor engine, I usually get a speed index in the 60s. This time around it's a single processor engine, Fritz13, so I have a somewhat slower speed index. But that's not really what we're here to look at. When you've connected to the server, if you want to submit a game, you don't go to the Engine tab like we looked at before. Notice we went to Engine and then Let's Check. Where you go this time, you go to a different tab. You go to the Analysis tab and select Submit Game. There's a big button right here, Submit Game, and you see the mouse over, Submit a whole game for analysis by other engines. Click on that, and what's going to happen is you're going to get a notation over here in the running commentary part of the Live Book tab in the notation pane. This black screen here will give you a notation. We're going to look at that here in a moment. What I had originally intended to do was run a video clip at this point of this feature in action, but again, it's just so much easier for me to see this on this screen rather than this little tiny thing about the size of this button right here would be what I'd be working with. It's just, there's just no way I can follow along with my narration software. So we're going to do this as a series of stills. Once you click Submit Game, you get a notation right here. You see it in white. Submitted positions 25. Now there are more positions in that game, but what it does a quick check. It looks to see how many positions are in the opening book, subtracts that number from the total number of positions in the game, comes up with another number, which is this: submitted positions. There will be 25 positions that have been submitted that are not book positions. 20 of them have already been analyzed by other people. That's the cool part about Let's Check. The more everybody contributes, the more everybody goes in and analyzes positions, discovers positions, submits positions, analyzes other people's games, submits game for analysis, the more a database is growing and growing and growing. More and more and more information is added all the time. So in submitting this game, of the 25 positions that are not book moves in this game, 20 of them have already been analyzed. So to analyze the other submitted positions, the other 5, plus to retrieve the analysis of the other 20, they're charging me 12 credits, which is not bad at all. I sat down this morning and ran this thing and racked up 15 more credits than what I already had. So I've just spent 12 of them, and it'll give you the credits remaining on your total account. I have 194 credits remaining to spend on analyzing games and analyzing positions. What will happen then, as soon as this thing begins to analyze, what you're going to see is you're going to see a running total of positions. What it's going to do is every time it finishes a position, and as we saw here, there were 20 positions that had already been analyzed. So what it did, it started at 25, and when it retrieved the analysis of one position, it went to this screen, told me submitted position, finished and saved. It gave me the name of the analyst of that position and told me how many positions are left. So it starts at 25 and it works back 24, 23, 22, 21 as each position is analyzed. So you can see here on this scrolling list, one was analyzed here, there were 19 left. Then another one was finished and saved, that left 18. Another one finished and saved, 17, etc. on down. Every time it analyzes a position, and I can't show that to you in a still picture, every time it analyzes a position, every time it either retrieves existing analysis or a position that has been analyzed yet is being analyzed by someone who's submitted his engine, every time another piece of analysis is added to your game notation, the live book tab switches to the notation tab, and you wind up with the notation view where you see the new analysis that has just been added. It'll stay in the notation view until you click back to the live book tab just to see how many positions you have left. And again, when another position gets analyzed, bam, back to the notation tab. So unless you walk away, let's say for 5 or 10 minutes and then come back and see where you are, you'll find yourself clicking back and forth between the live book and notation tab. And there's no reason why you can't. It doesn't hurt anything. It's good to click the live book tab and see how many positions you have left. Eventually you get down to a point where submitted position, finished and saved, the name of the analyst, open positions equals 0. That means we're done. It's not, if you leave it on the notation tab, I mean, it'll kick back to the notation tab as it's analyzing positions. It doesn't bounce back to the live book tab when you're done. So if you walk away, you're going to need to come back and click the live book tab to see if it's finished. But if you see that the open positions left equals 0, you will know that it is finished. You'll know that every single position has been analyzed. Every position of that game that you submitted now has analysis attached to it. So what's it going to look like? Well, that's where we come here. We go back to the notation tab and we see that once we get out of the book, first 10 moves here, first 18, 19 positions are book moves, we see that we're getting analysis for every position from that point onward. And at this point we're seeing that for at least this move and this move there has been agreement. Get down here to White's 12th move, and somebody was using Critter, which is an interesting, I call it an amateur engine. It's not a commercial engine, it's a freebie that you can get off the internet. Actually is the analyst of that position. And Critter seems to think that bishop c4 is what white should have played in this position. But you can scroll down that list and take a look at where the engines agree or disagree with what was actually played. You get numerical analysis, as we've seen many, many times in the past. You get a number after the slash that tells you how many plies deep the named engine looked to arrive at this conclusion. These are the moves that should have been played, and here is the evaluation of the position after that third move was played. You can scroll down the list, come to different points in the game, and see where different engines have analyzed. It's that simple, but what you do have to keep in mind is this. If you do not save the game, you're going to lose that analysis. If you load another game, that analysis will be gone. It is not automatically saved, and if you want to go back and retrieve it again, you will need to spend more credits to do it to submit the game again. So bear in mind that when this is done, when you get to open positions equals 0 and you click the notation tab by going here and seeing the game notation, probably the first thing you should do at that point, if you want to save this notation, if you want to preserve it, is to go to the file menu over here, go down to save, and select replace. As you see here, replace the game in the database with this version. What it does, it replaces the original unannotated version with these notations, with this analysis that you have retrieved from the Let's Check server. As I said, most of this game had already been analyzed, so it retrieved it. There are 3, 5, whatever it was, I forget the number, but a very small number of positions needed to be analyzed live, as it were, by people who had contributed their own engines using this Contribute Engine button up here to allow me to get analysis of the other positions in this game that had not been analyzed. That's basically all there is to it. It's not very terribly difficult. There's not a lot more to it than that. Just remember that you have to contribute your engine to rack up credits that allow you to submit positions, or in this case a complete game, to be analyzed by your fellow Let's Check users. That's what this whole thing is about. That's why it's called Let's Check. It depends on all of us, everybody using Fritz13, to make this thing a success. We want to contribute our engines to analyze positions in games that other people have submitted. In return, that allows us to submit positions in games. And as we've seen way back at the start of this series where I was talking about Fritz13, you can discover positions, you can win variations. There's all kinds of analysis tasks that you can do to add analysis to this growing database that you see when you go back here to the Live Book tab. This huge opening book, this huge database of positions is constantly being updated around the clock by Let's Check users. And not just openings, but middle games and end games as well. All these chess positions are being analyzed and annotated by engines, and it's up to you to contribute. That's what makes this fun. You can contribute your own engine. You can try to discover positions, win variations, and add to this ever-growing database of Let's Check analysis that's being stored on the Let's Check server. For USCFsales.com, I'm Steve Lopez. Thank you for watching.